Why women don't want to date red pill men.
Feminism, toxic masculinity, red pill bros. How on earth are people supposed to find a partner and find love in this insane dating landscape? I've talked about this a lot. We have talked about the Gen Z mental health crisis, which in my opinion is just a loneliness epidemic. We are so lonely.
Very, very true. The loneliness epidemic is truly that. It is worse than, really, it was worse than anything COVID could have ever done to us. COVID could have knocked out every single person over the age of 65, and the loneliness epidemic would still end our population quicker than that would have. 100%. I would 100% put money on that one. But let's get into it. Hit the like button, get subscribed if you're not already. We're going to be on our way to that 1,000 subscriber mark where we can hopefully get the watch hours and hit monetization quickly. Anyways, we'll get right into it.
We have literally been dubbed the loneliest generation. I know that we're trying to work on that, obviously, but even though that loneliness has been fostered.
Loneliest generation? What do you mean? I've got all these people around me.
Through social media and COVID and all of these things, I think that the dating divide and the ideological divide has played a huge role. Wendy Walsh, who is a psychology professor at California State University, Channel Islands, and an ambassador for datingadvice.com, told Newsweek recently that, quote, in the last few years, males have become increasingly conservative, and the most liberal and progressive group in America is young females. The political polarization is already creating problems in the dating scene. People in their 20s are either not dating at all or competing for a very small group of people who match their political views. And guys,
100%, and that's not all due in part to the guys. That's also due in part to the girls who are like in their dating profile, if you're conservative, swipe left. Like, they don't even want you in their grouping of people that are swiping for them. And if you happen to have anything that might lean conservative in your bio, all of a sudden they're gone from you too. So it's like, whoops, goodbye. And, oh, you messed up because you were honest in your profile. So it is that crazy thing where there is a small group of girls to look for, and that the conservative guys are going after, and then the liberal men have this large plethora of girls and everything, and most of them can't even do anything about it. Or they just choose not to do anything about it.
As I am sure you are well aware by just being young people and humans in this weird culture, I'm sure you are aware that this divide did not happen overnight. And so we need to look back over the political landscape in the 21st century to see how we got here, and most importantly, what solutions we can employ to actually fix the situation. But before we do, make sure that you like this episode and subscribe to our channel if you have not already. And of course,
go ahead and do that with hers as well. Hers will be down in my description as per usual.
Ring that notification bell to make sure that you stay up to date on every single one of our uploads. And if you want updates on all things Brett Cooper and live events and fun things that we're doing, make sure to check out brettcooper.com. Now, back to the show. I think that the easiest place that we can start is with men. And we talk about this all the time. I have been talking about this basically as long as I have been on the internet. And anyone who follows politics even remotely can see the way and understand the way that our culture has alienated men massively over the last decade to 25 years.
I mean, who else was growing up and always told as a man that, you'll never be good enough. Everything you'll do, you have to do better and better and better. But yet, no one will ever be satisfied with the things you do. And then, you were told that, oh, white men have created all the problems in this world, while simultaneously inventing almost everything. For those inventions that aren't by white men, I said almost in there. So there is that almost that you guys are in. You're in the rest of the products that are not almost everything white people invented.
And most recently, in my opinion, it has been the Me Too movement and the lasting impacts of that really unfairly generalized men as predators, which led to massive reputational damage,
That too. You also got the Me Too movement that's got guys out there afraid to walk up to a woman and talk to her because he's afraid that she'll be repulsed by him, and then even though he's actually just trying to be nice, shoot his shot, she'll throw him down and claim him to be a pedophile or a pervert or something. Depending on, the type of person or how badly she wants to try to ruin his reputation. if all of a sudden the girl the guy goes up to is underage and she tries to pull the, oh, pedophile, instead of, sorry, I'm 17. Because they're 100%. There are people who are on the younger end of things, 17, 16, who make like excess makeup that makes them look older and act older. And so, by the guys who may accidentally go that, inform them. Some of them are not that. They just are ignorant and don't know. 9 out of 10 times, the guy is ignorant and didn't realize it. The other one, he was intentional about
until
it.
Proven guilty was basically thrown out in the courts of social media, in the actual courts of law. Like, that has just not been a thing anymore. There was and still is this attack on toxic masculinity, which stereotyped, normal male traits like stoicism or assertiveness as being inherently harmful. And they even went so far as to say that things like football and hunting and just like normal male hobbies were actually very toxic and were hurting America and were oppressing women. Women would say, F the patriarchy, we want to stamp out the patriarchy. You literally have women who say, I'm a lesbian because I don't need men. I don't want men. I could literally survive without them. We don't need them as a society. And all of this has been the MO for years now. And therefore, society has shamed a whole generation of young men into thinking that they are inherently monsters or predators or less than. It has turned them inward. It has made so many men insecure and feel like they don't actually have a place in our culture and our society, when in reality, you men are so important. I say this all the time. You are the backbone of civilization. You are the backbone of families. We literally cannot exist without you. And yet that has not been the message that you have been receiving from pundits, from Hollywood, from girls on college campuses, whatever it may be, from podcasters. That is not what you have been hearing. And interestingly, a recent British study revealed that nearly 50% of young men reported feeling that being a man is not a source of pride for them, which is just insane. That is the core part of your being. That should be something that you love about yourself, that is so integral to who you are, that you should.
I think that's also what created so much in the trans movement of guys thinking, oh, I'll be appreciated if I present myself as a woman. There's so many of that. There's so much of that I guarantee you that has ruined the minds of people as much as just society and women belittling men and putting them down and making sure that they are like, oh, you've been in charge for so long, it's our turn. No, how about we share the burden of being in charge? How about we put that burden on all of us? Otherwise, everything will just fall through.
Should be proud of. And the fact that 50% of young men say that's not even a thing anymore. And this is what some of the participants had to say. Quote, there are a lot of negative stories about how men have treated women, which makes people assume that all men are the same, which isn't the case, commented one 20-year-old. Another young man said,
that's the other one. You get some men who are actually terrible guys and who are just out there in the dating world to have sex and be a little goony degenerate. However, they do that to a woman, and the woman goes up and she's, ugh, all men are like this. Or maybe she does it with a couple, but all of a sudden, what she doesn't realize is it's not the men, she just has a type. That's what people need to realize, that there are certain types of people. Sometimes you are attracted to a specific type of person, type of individual, who does specific things and doesn't, they do these things, and all of a sudden, some of their traits are attractive to you. You're accidentally attracted to these traits because of other things that they do.
There is a feeling that men are responsible for patriarchy, and you feel a sense of guilt. Although things were this way before I was born, and in spite of personal effort for equality, these men are trying. They have they've tried to respond, and yet they still are made to feel so guilty and so out of place.
I mean, you can prove the fact that men are strong due to the fact when last year you had men on flights raw dogging it, just no music, no nothing, just sit there. Silent. The whole flight. Staring straight forward. Waiting for the plane to land. And if I saw a plane full of people just... I think if I saw more than 2 or 3 people on a flight doing that when I got on, I think I would turn back around and get off. Because at that point, there's something wrong with that plane.
Another one said, social media is damaging to men's mental health as a society. We have an expectation of what a man should be. This puts pressure on men to live up to this expectation. So in trying to connect this with current events, it's like, yeah, no wonder young men moved to the right. No wonder in 2024, young men came out in droves for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who, they might not be perfect men, but they are men who seem to be proud of being men. They are manlier men who have families and seem like the head.
I mean, they were both better than Tampon Tim and Kamala Crazy.
Heads of their households. Young men can look up to them and maybe even see themselves in those two men. It's the reason why UFC has absolutely blown up. It's the reason why the male podcasting space is dominating right now, because they are speaking to multiple generations of men who've been ignored for years right now. Millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha that is coming up. That is why the male podcasting space is dominating. We'll dive back in, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. The Epstein File holds the media accountable, so go join today. And it makes sense that a lot of this just so happens to be on the right because, who are they going to look up to on the left? Like Tim Walz with his jazz hands? Pete Buttigieg on his, little bicycle with his husband? No!
Kamala, even in her PR for a book, I don't care enough to remember if she said it was in her book or if it was just talked about her in the PR for it, where she said Pete Buttigieg was too gay for her campaign to take on. And I'm like, that is an insane statement to make about someone who she could call her colleague.
No, those are not the role models that these young men are craving after decades of being...
who else we got on the left of people to look up to? Terrorist supporting Hassan, a dog abusing Hassan Piker? Harry Kissinger, known womanizer. Harry Sisson? Known womanizer, Yeah, it's like, who else do we have? You got nobody, really. Even in the media sphere. Like, on the Republican side, you have, streamers who have had better hygiene habits, in their life, like Asmongold, who, he's not perfect, but he's, he didn't even vote, but he does agree with many things where he says, if I had voted, this is the administration I would have preferred to have voted in. So yeah, he just chooses not to vote. It's his personal choice. That's the freedom of voting. It's the freedom to not vote sometimes. I think that's stupid and that you should take the opportunity if you have the freedom to, but whatever. We'll continue with Brett.
Told that they are less than, that they should be ashamed and feel guilty for their natural feelings, their natural inclinations as biological men. And unfortunately, when a whole society, when a whole political party turns against and villainizes one sex, you are not just going to move to healthy role models and find some common middle ground. It's not going to work like that. You are going to see the consequences of young men who fell through the cracks, who were left behind, who were villainized to no end, who were made to feel guilty. They are going to have to go somewhere, and often they're going to lash out, which leads us to the creation of the red pill man, which is a hot topic in 2025. Whenever anybody brings up the red pill bros, if you talk about them, if you tweet at them, I feel like they're going to end up in this comment section. They're going to pop out to talk about their values, whatever. But the red pill man is playing his own role in this very, very complicated and convoluted dating landscape. And these men, in my opinion, view modern feminism as a societal evil whose express goal is to oppress men. They believe that women hold unfair power in today's culture, which is definitely true in our modern culture. And
modern feminism isn't really positive women positivity. It's anti-men is what it really boils down to in its most part. It's women telling other women that they don't need men. They can get by without them. And it's like, yes, that can be the truth. You can learn to be beneficial and, put the benefit of two people joining together, being, joined in a couple with a man and a woman, etc., however relationship you feel. There are people who don't want that at all. A guy and a guy, a girl and a girl together, up to you, whatever. I don't care. What makes you happy makes you happy. Don't shove it in all our faces. You don't need to be walking down the street holding hands going, "We love each other. Did you know that?" Like, no one cares. It's okay. You can just be that way. Everybody's fine.
I agree with them on feminism. I agree that modern feminism has gone too far. It's shifted from being about equality and uplifting women to actually dominating men. Like, they vocalize that. They do not hide that. That is something that they are proud of. They speak about. So these men are not wrong when it comes to any of those things, but they don't just stop with fighting that. They don't just stop by saying, hey, this is wrong, we disagree with that. Instead, they in turn idolize these hyper-dominant, quote-unquote, alpha traits. They have a perverted view of masculinity and femininity and a woman's role in society. They also very often lump women together and see us all as being inherently manipulative, interested only in exploiting men for their resources and their money and their status. And possibly the thing that turns me off the most is that they often assert that their manhood is something that is defined by how many women they can exploit, how many women they can sleep with, how many women they can impregnate, how far they can sow their seeds, and how many children they can have, how tight and ill-fitting their suits can be, how nice their cars are, like how many cigars they can smoke. It is a caricature of masculinity. It is bitter, and in my opinion, it is incredibly performative. And while
it really is performative. No one's out there except maybe Ben Mala smoking that much and acting that way. It's like there's very few people who can just handle the amount of cigars some of those red pill bros do. It's like, do you think Andrew Tate and his brother are smoking a cigar every moment of the day? Those two potentially, actually. Bad example. But yeah, they got, he'll have one on his show, and then, his brother will be there. Brother might have one too. They might go through a couple of them. But I bet you it's just for the show. It's performative. After the show, they probably go sit on their ass and relax. And sit back, maybe have a drink or something, and they're just chilling. It's like, I saw these red pill bros. They're not all here to act that way 24/7, 365.
know that I just spent 2 minutes basically complaining about them and saying what I think is wrong with their ideology. Their core grievances, like the reason why the red pill bro was created in the first place, like their core grievances are often very legitimate. Like liberal women and progressives, you created a space for the red pill man to thrive. You pushed men for years, for decades, so far into a corner that they had no choice but to turn to people like Andrew Tate to create these ideologies so that they could feel powerful, so that they could have somebody who would say, hey, it's pretty great to be a man, even if that version of a man is kind of performative and a caricature, in my opinion. And I'm sorry, but the result of all of that, what this has become, is a major turnoff for women. Even women who might share your values or politically agree with you. Because like you didn't want to date a feminist woman who hated you for your manhood and just hated your basic identity and wanted to take advantage of you through sex.
I mean, who wants to do that? There, let me shut her mouth. Who wants to have someone who's just taking advantage of them for their bodies and who's getting there, they dislike them all day. You'll come home from work and you know, they come home from work and you're both bossing it up, but you don't really interact too much in the house. You kind of sit in your own spaces and do your own things, and then you come together at night. You get a little time together, and then you have sex, and you go to sleep and repeat it. It's like, you feel more like roommates that, you know, have arguments and make up sex at the end of the day rather than a loving husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend couple. It's like, to both groups, the ultra-liberal women, feminism women, and the red pill bros, they need each other, actually. They very much coincide with each other's morals and identities, except feminists for women, red pill bros for men.
Women also are not going to want to date men who are assholes and hate them for just being women. And I really think that a lot of these men online that we see just generally don't like women. Like, I read their posts, I'm like, have you ever, like, been friends with a woman? Like, have you ever had any, like, moment of enjoyment with, like, a female, a person of the opposite sex? Because
most of them have not. I would put money on most of them have not had a good experience with a woman. Most of them have not had good experiences in life by their own actions on both sides. And that goes for women with men too. Some of you women just have awful taste in men. Some of you men have awful taste in women. That's okay. You don't stop at one. You don't try a sandwich. You don't eat a food one time, go, that was delicious, and then never have it again. Or, that was awful. And then you never try another, place's version of that food because, well, that food was bad the one time. It'll never be good.
Based on what you're saying, it seems
if that were truth, anything school served, I wouldn't eat anymore.
like you just don't like us. And so it is no surprise to me that this is a situation that is occurring more and more frequently in our modern dating culture. This is from the New York Post, a recent article from a couple months ago. According to 19-year-old Liza, who's dating someone in his 20s and sat down with the outlet, she said, I'd go on the odd date with someone my age, and more often than not, it would end up in a straight-up argument when he started saying that Andrew Tate makes good points. Her boyfriend now, this older guy, is, quote, super chill, a feminist, and weirdly, so are most of his mates. He missed all of the manosphere stuff, and it shows. So now, unfortunately, because of all this red pill bro stuff, women are being pushed even further into the opposite direction, into the
oh boy, that's the last thing the feminist far left needs is a far left guy who's encouraging it. They should challenge some of it. You shouldn't just have all your views be affirmed by your partner every single time. You should ultimately agree and enjoy each other, but every single thing, if you're like, I love this thing, and even if you're doing it and trying to test them because that might sound crazy, and then they're like, yeah, honey, and that's a great thing, I love that too, when in reality they're just like, where's the because they need to hit their vape.
Welcoming arms of these older, chill feminist bros with their chill, older feminist bro mates. But of course, because we need to be fair, the women in this scenario are also not blameless. Literally.
I honestly think a lot of those men that are in the ultra-feminist category are just playing it up to try to find a girl to have sex with. And sometimes they don't mean it all, but, they all of a sudden find someone who cares for this version of them, and, well, they're stuck being that person because they kind of like this person that they've gotten with, so they'll just stay that way and be a little more weak-willed when it comes to that. They might be extra stressed in their life because they're thinking about all these other extra things. Oh, if she ever finds out, is everything in my life just going to unfold? Would she stop enjoying my company? Would she want to immediately move out and leave me? Like, it could create some extra stress. So I think if your partner isn't at least, 5 to 10% challenging at minimum of some of the things you may say, maybe it might be time to take a step back and have an overview of your relationship.
At all.
I'm not saying it's definitely bad, just it might be time.
Like they might have started this whole thing from the get-go. And in talking about this, my mind immediately goes to Alex Cooper and her podcast, Call Her Daddy. But before we keep going, I want to thank today's and that would be you to learn more today. Now, back to Alex Cooper. She and her original co-host would often tell women that they needed to have a roster of men lining up waiting for them to date, that they should, quote-unquote, have sex like a man, that they should toy and play games with men as a way of gaining power and confidence. Like, this is literally how they named their podcast, Call Her Daddy. Take a listen. For people that...
I'm going to pause it there. Remember, this is the only podcast that Kamala Harris went on, and they paid about $1 million to recreate her set instead of Kamala just spending the time to travel, go get on the set, like Trump did for every single other influencer outside of Dave Ramsey, who I think is like one of the only ones who's like, yeah, I flew in to go see him. Yeah, because when you get that call, if Trump can't come to you, if you have to come to him to get that interview, when it's the potential president, at that point he wasn't elected, so when it's the potential president, you're probably going to make that call and say, yeah, I'll be there. I'm not going to miss it. But like, if Kamala had just taken the time to actually be real, this podcast, when she went on it, was one of the biggest moments in her campaign where I'm like, this is the most fake bitch on the planet.
I don't know what Call Her Daddy means. The word daddy is what?
And you could apply that to either host of the podcast or Kamala.
It's like you're a boss, you're a badass. you're powerful,
Yeah.
dominant.
In the bedroom specifically.
Yeah, and you are in control of your life
Right.
and in control in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So the entire premise, the entire idea behind this huge culture-changing podcast was the idea that women should dominate in life and dominate in the bedroom at the expense of men. That men, to them, were actually disposable. And this is something she has said.
This is how we solve all of your problems. He didn't text me back. You have a full roster, okay? You line them up. He ditches you, you grab the next and the next and the next.
So basically what she's saying there is her rationale for having a roster of men and just dating around, because if one pisses you off, well, just go find another one. You need to have a bunch lined up that you can sleep with, that you can date, because if a man pisses you off, don't deal with it, don't handle it, whatever, just move on and date somebody else, because you should not have to be beholden to this awful man who is giving you the ick or doing something wrong, because they are just disposable.
Yeah, and that's the other hilarious part is most of the guys who if treated like this by a girl, all of a sudden they got to bang them real quick and they got out, and neither of them, and she didn't walk away with any pregnancy that he'll have to pay for later. The dude is like, I just had sex with this hot chick, I'm chilling, and I don't have to go back, I didn't have to tie anything down, I went home that night and played video games with my boys. It's like, hell yeah. Like, they're retarded for thinking they're taking the power away from men for doing these actions. Like, what?
Like, her ideology was based on the fact that men are pigs, so women should be pigs back towards them. Like, we should get back at them. And now, years later, this podcast has been around for over 5-6 years now. Finally, now that she is older, maybe a bit more mature, she is married, she's talking about having kids, she is finally comfortable saying the quiet part out loud. That yes, in fact, she wanted to punish them. This is a recent clip from her interview on the Armchair Expert podcast. Take a listen.
Did you want to punish them?
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think because I have never had a hard time making female friends. That was like the thing that filled me up the most. I always felt so comfortable around women, being on soccer teams, filming with my best friends. Like I love it. Like I love female friendships. And then when I finally got to a point where I changed my hair and changed my skin and all of the things, when boys were drooling over me and I was just like, oh, I hate you.
I mean, at least she's honest. That is sort of a good thing. But everything that she is saying, everything that she has blabbered about for the last 6 years on her podcast, it is awful. It is unkind. And also it is self-harming behavior. It is not just unhealthy for men. It impacts them negatively. It's impacting the women negatively who choose to act like this. But she and others like
It affects the women more negatively than it affects the men. The men only have a relationship where if they get a girl like her or her herself, oh, she goes in, she has sex with him, he upsets her by being himself, and she kicks him out. He'll just go find another chick. He really doesn't care after maybe a week or so. He'll think about her a while later in life, but not for more than, I wonder how she's doing. Anyway. And that's about all she'll get from him later in life. Like, she gets nothing out of it for doing that to him. He gets everything. The freedom of realizing, oh, this bitch is crazy. 1, 2, I'm glad I didn't accidentally tie myself down to that for 30, 40 years and have to be stuck with that, have kids, and have to pay her child support the rest of my life. Like, no. I'm sure she would have aborted the baby anyway. That's just the kind of person she is if she got pregnant. She's just that evil individual. Because if you're killing a baby and there's no medical necessity to do so, that's evil.
like her, especially in Hollywood, they influenced an entire generation of women with these kinds of values, with these ideas that we need to be terrible to men as a way of punishing them, that our empowerment comes from sleeping around and screwing with men and playing games with them because that is what they deserve. That is where this divide started. So taking all of that into consideration, the years of that, It is no wonder that now men are responding by basically doing the same thing to women. Men were villainized by these women for just doing normal man things. Women blew their behaviors out of proportion, called them toxic and manipulative, said that the patriarchy was this awful thing, and now it seems like a whole group of scorned men, understandably scorned, who have been hurt and shamed for years, has had enough. And they're going, fine, we'll just become that, and we'll do all of these things to get back at you. So it is this endless cycle, and I'm sorry to tell you guys, but two wrongs do not make a right. We are now basically in a washing machine of chaos and bad behavior and just being assholes to each other. But unfortunately, looking at our society and our culture and the trends and the attitudes, it makes sense. But again, that doesn't make it right. Neither of those behaviors from either of these groups, the toxic feminists that just want to sleep around, the red pill bros that hate women, neither of those behaviors or attitudes are right or moral or good or promote goodness. They are only contributing to a greater divide and distrust and a dislike of the opposite sex. That is the undercurrent that runs under all of this, is genuinely just disliking people of the opposite gender. And Billy,
It really is, and it's a big detriment to society. I mean, our population decrease that is going on is not great. The fertility rate in our country is only at like a 1.6 or something. At least we're not Japan at a 1 point, I think it's a 1.2, but it's not great for keeping the population going on for many more generations to come and having enough people to survive in this world as a hopefully growing nation. Like, without more people, without more babies born, future generations are going to be smaller. I want to get to the point where in my older years of lifetime, we're actually focused on, we're a little overpopulated. We need to calm that back a bit. And then, it'll be like, okay, maybe have a generation that just calms down a hair, isn't having big families, they're having just a couple kids, to keep the number the same. Or, you've got other times where you might wind up with the number decreasing a little for a short time period, and you can have it ebb and flow just to make sure you can produce enough stuff for everybody, food and shelters, homes, etc., while also making sure that the population can sustain itself.
Ray Brandt, who is a great video creator who actually used to make red pill content, she broke down this problem here. She was seeing it firsthand. This was the community that she was in, and I think she put it well. Take a listen.
Let me tell you about my biggest issue with red pill influencers. I used to think they all wanted to defeat feminism, but now I'm just realizing that they used feminism as an excuse to encourage negativity and toxic behavior amongst men. They bitch about women being hoes, but encourage men to be more promiscuous and create more hoes. They nihilistically claim that modern women are completely irredeemable. And rather than encouraging men and women to go change their ways and right the wrongs, they just bitch and moan while collecting a paycheck from the angry, hopeless men that they create. It's all bitching with no solution. And I've spoken highly of these guys in the past, and was certainly inspired by many of them to join an important fight. But my patience and admiration is starting to disappear. Feminism is fundamentally evil, and I'm not going to concede to living a life where we allow it to exist with no opposition.
I mean, she did not mince words. And everything that
Absolutely
she said about
right.
the Red Pill Bros, about this community of guys, these attitudes, you could also say that about feminism. You could say that about Alex Cooper. It's like you allegedly saw men that were dating around, that were playing games with you when you were in high school and college, and instead of trying to be better and encourage them to be better and just move away from those guys and try to date somebody who wouldn't treat you like a piece of crap,
You dragged yourself down to their level and said, hey, you were terrible to me. Guess what? I'm gonna be worse than you. That's what they said. That's what it boils down to. So many women have been ruined by the advice given to them and that they took from these feminized influencers, these feminists who are just ultra far feminists, who are the ultra extreme. Extremism in any realm is bad, outside of an extreme response to punishing severe crime. Severe crime should be punished to the full extent. You murder, you commit a sex crime, you harm the innocent. Crimes against animals in my world would be a lot tougher. Hassan Piker would be in jail today for that video. well, we would send it under an investigation, and if found innocent, sure, he'd be let go and apologize too, given a little check for his, I'm sorry time. But if he's found guilty, all of a sudden, yeah, that's a severe punishment. You're gonna hang around and be locked up for a while. I'm leaning towards that's the one of you.
You decided to just be what you hate, what you were attacking. Like, how does that actually make it better? How does that make society better or change things for your community, for yourself, for the next generation of men and women? It does nothing. Therefore, if we are going to fix things, we have to find a way forward that does not exclusively revolve around pointing fingers and doing things in a reactionary, bitter way. Everybody, like Billy was saying, needs to take accountability for themselves and their actions, and probably most importantly, not be an asshole to the opposite sex. It really is that simple. So now the final question and the most important question is, how do we fix this? Where do we go from here? Well, I have messages for both men and women here. Now, women, you need to know that men are not monsters. Not all men are bad. And if you respect yourself and you hold yourself to a higher standard, an amazing man will come your way. That is kind of like how the world works. If you put it out there, you will receive. So build up and encourage masculinity. Do not mock it. Learn to love and appreciate men for their quirks and their silliness and their interesting senses of humor. Like, encourage the men in your life to be leaders and help hold them to a high standard. Now, for men.
And also, she left out, if you're noticing men that are being terrible, being bad individuals, whether they verbally abused you when you were trying to date them, or you've seen them verbally abuse one of your friends, or if they're physically abusive, or if, they do something bad in another way, maybe question it, have chats with each other, figure out, is this thing he's doing actually bad? Am I crazy? Like, take a step back, have the situation be seen by more than one brain, have it be seen by a couple brains on both sides of the sex aisle, whether it be a couple girls and a couple guys, or 5 girls, 2 guys, to have some kind of good, back and forth there of the guys going, he might not even realize he's doing it. Maybe talk to him and see if he even knows. But if he says it in these ways, XYZ, and it sounds like he's denying it, then yeah, he might be doing it and lying about it. Or if he says it ABC, he's probably telling the truth. And then you can get a good grip of the situation.
And I also similarly need to say that women are not the enemy. Not every woman out there is scheming about how she's going to manipulate you and divorce you and take all of your money and screw you over. Like that is not every woman out there. I'm sure that there are. There have been horrible stories of those women, but there are a lot of women who just want a good man, and they are good women, and they're out there trying to meet you. So get up the courage to go ask a girl out for coffee. Have the confidence to know that if she says no, it might not have anything to do with you. And like Jordan Peterson says, if you want a princess, be a prince. That means you have to work on yourself. It means you have to be bold and confident and be a leader and be somebody that she would want to be with, that she would be attracted to. And I'm sorry, I hate to say it, but for a lot of women, that is not being a bitter, angry red pill bro. And on that subject of red pill attitudes, I don't just want to shame this and not give a solution. So I want to offer some sort of alternative or clarity, because I know it's hard out there. I know it's confusing. I know it's very easy to get bitter when you feel like you are backed up into a corner. And so I want to share something with you that was just so wonderful to hear as a woman. It was something that Alex loved hearing. And this is something that Father Mike Schmidt says. And for the last 2 years, I have gone back to this one homily from Father Mike because I really think that it hits the nail on the head when it comes to masculinity. So this is from his Father's Day homily back in 2023. And basically in this homily, Father Mike lays out the problem that our culture basically just gives men 2 options. The option of being that chill feminist bro who is just meek and mild and weak and a slacker, or the other option is someone who is a brute and uses his strength tyrannically, which he says is akin to this whole red pill ideology. That would be the toxically masculine side of things. So just take a listen to what he says here.
Our culture offers young boys 2 alternatives, 2 visions of what it is to be a man. One is, he called him the slacker dude. The slacker dude is we might call like the weakling. He's the passive person. He's not just kind of a nice guy. He's the person who not only, couldn't hurt a fly or wouldn't hurt a fly, but he couldn't hurt a fly. The opposite vision that our world offers is what Dr. Leonard Sachs calls the brute or the bully. We would say that's the the toxic masculine man, right? The person who just like the tyrant, basically. And so these are the two images that our world gives young men. It says either you can be the weakling or the tyrant. You can either be the slacker dude or you can be the brute, the bully.
And from there, he says, you might think that Jesus would want you to be the meek and gentle man rather than being the tyrannical brute, but really, it's neither of these options, because what culture is presenting you with, neither of them are good. What God wants you to be
is somewhere right in the middle, someone who is going to help the little guy, but also isn't afraid to stand up and be, the strong one in any situation he needs to be. You need to have a comfortable balance of both. You can't just be heavy skewed to one side or the other. That's like, the political extremism of extreme right wing, extreme left wing. It's like you need a balance every time. There is nothing ever good that comes out of extremism.
How you are designed to be is a man who is strong enough to care and serve others, but that first requires taking responsibility and ownership over your life. It's taking responsibility for who you are as a man. This is what he says.
A marker of adulthood, is I'm now willing to take responsibility for myself. And now do I say it like this? I'm willing to develop my strength. I'm willing to develop my own competence. I'm taking responsibility for developing my own competence. I'm taking responsibility for developing my own strength. I'm becoming a man. But there's another level. There's another level of adulthood, another level that's just incredible. It takes responsibility for others. And that's the difference between becoming a man, I take responsibility for myself, and becoming a father, becoming a shepherd. I'm willing to take responsibility for someone else.
And then from there, he says, you can then serve and take care of others, which we see in pack animals all the time. And I love that this was the analogy that he used. Take a listen.
In subsequent studies, subsequent research have actually studied primates and wolves and other animals in the wild. And the alpha of the pack, the alpha of the group of primates, of gorillas, or of any other kind of, they weren't the ones who just dominated. They weren't the ones who just took whatever they wanted. It was almost the opposite. The alpha male of the group was the one who took care of the others. The alpha male, actually, in the wild, the alpha male was the one who served, the one who made sure everyone had food, the one who made
that would make sense. If you are, quote unquote, the alpha of the group, you should be the one that everybody can turn to for protection, for advice, for all the good things that they're seeking and the guidance in their lives. And it's like, for animals, yes, that would be the person who can protect, the person who can feed. And they're not going to be the person who gets to make all the decisions, but whatever decisions are made, they're going to make sure that the pack is safe as a collective group, and that the group itself is good. You don't want the quote-unquote beta animal, the beta male out there, and he's like, no, this one might be poison, guys, so I gotta check it. And all of a sudden, he's just taking a little bit for himself off the top, or, it's, I need someone else to come over here and do this. This task needs to get done by this guy. It's like, no. There's no delegating. You're just getting it. You're doing it. No questions asked. It's just happened. We're done with it now. Look, here we go. You got the better versions.
Make sure everyone had protection, the one who made sure everyone had shelter. In fact, I remember a psychologist describing this and saying that women aren't attracted. This is for the guys, who are like, I want to be alpha. Why? Because I want to be the one who gets the girls. Women aren't attracted to that dominant personality, aren't attracted to the alpha. What they're attracted to is what he called competent generosity.
And like I said, I have gone back to this homily for the last 2 years. I don't even know how many times I have listened to it. It was just one of the most incredible things I have ever heard in a culture that, again, is often very confused and angry and giving men very mixed signals. So if you want to listen to the entire thing, we'll have it linked below. I highly recommend it. I love Father Mike. I'm not even Catholic, and I just love listening to him. But basically, the reason why I wanted to share this today is that you don't have to be the strongest or most attractive person in the room. You don't have to be the loudest or the one with the most brute force, but you should be someone who is good, who takes responsibility for not just your life, but for others, who can care for others, who can protect them and treat them with decency. It really just goes back to that. And women, on the flip side, should be there to accept that and appreciate that. And I promise you again, women like that are out there. Women like Nara Smith, as I said in the beginning. Take a listen to this.
Marriage is a collaboration between two people. That's how I view it. And I think that a lot of people nowadays, it's like, oh, he gave me the ick and I'm just done. Or he didn't do X, Y, and Z, so I'm going to ghost him. And I think, at least in marriage, for me, that's not a thing. It was really us learning how to communicate better, how to be there for each other, how to be less stubborn, how to be more loving and compassionate. And I think compassion is such an important and vital part of at least our marriage. And I think that's something that we have.
See, right there. That's a great couple. You got every moment from the grab baby on the tummy there to the smacking her ass. I'm not stopping it there. I'm stopping it just after it on purpose.
I think that's something that we have to kind of learn
I didn't mean to
have.
And of course, since
I meant to skip it. I cut the frame a little off. Oh well. But yeah, you've got that at the moment where he's, they're taking a cute photo and a cute little video, and then he smacks her on the ass at the end. It's like, that's how you know you've got a healthy relationship. When each other can do things like that, and you don't turn around, you're embarrassing me. We can't show that. We gotta re-record it. It's like, when you're doing that, it's like, it's not a real moment anymore. This is it recorded, but as close to the real moment as you can get. Like, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind those two love each other a lot. That's the relationship to strive for. It's what Charlie Kirk would want you to do. Charlie Kirk, in his things that you should do, get married, have a family, be successful in your life, live out your dreams, and, be the best version of you that you can be.
We also mentioned her at the top of the episode, women like Hannah Nealman of Ballerina Farms, who openly praises and expresses gratitude for her husband, despite the women online who consistently tell her that she is oppressed and trapped in this marriage. In a recent article, she said, "Daniel, my husband, is so good at just being a steady rock and just being that constant for me. He doesn't ever get entangled with the ups and downs of social media. He's just like, no, we're doing our thing. It's not about them. It is about us, and we're going to keep doing what we love and sharing." These are incredible marriages, and I love that they are putting that out in the world, and I'm just letting you know that there are women like that. There are marriages like that. That is not dead in 2025, even though we are dealing with a very obvious and very significant divide between young men and women. And I'm here to tell you that traditional values, settling down, finding somebody that you love, being monogamous, getting married and having children, those values, they are not oppressive. In my experience, they have actually been the most freeing and empowering part of my life. Men and women have their distinct but equal roles in the relationship. It is designed to be this beautiful compatibility that will inevitably require a dance and compromises and empathy that you will learn in real time, and you'll probably continue learning for the rest of your life, because you're two human beings that are having to work through things together. And to actually push through this epidemic of loneliness and this divide between men and women, to reject the rise of AI companions, you have to be willing to reach across the aisle of the sexes with compassion and, again, a genuine interest and decency. And the first step to all of that is just getting your ducks in a row. It's cleaning your own bedroom first. It is getting your life together. It is being a good human being, and then...
Yeah. She's hit the nail right on the head there. It's about getting your life together first. You don't want to start out, go find a partner, and then have them drag your life up with you. That is a path, and I'm not saying it won't work, but you're more likely to have the path work if you clean up your life. Like she said, start with something simple. Make your bed. Clean up your room. Get your laundry all tidy and put away. Clean out your car. Get on a good workout routine. Get on, eating right. Or just eating better. You don't even have to have, calorie counting, going down to the perfect, exact everything. No. You can still eat like shit and look fine. You just eat less of the shit. As simple as that. I don't eat healthy at all, but most of the weight I have gained came from 20-ish pounds of it came from me having to sit in the same spot all summer because I had a broken leg.
And again, I don't know how many times I can say it, is having a basic appreciation and interest in the opposite sex. And then do not feed into these caricatures of manhood or womanhood that seek to put us all in boxes and pit us against each other. So put down your phone, log off of X, get off of TikTok, go touch grass for the love of Pete, and find somebody that you love being around that you believe you can build a life with. Do not let social media or the world around you make you bitter. There is so much hope. There are so many great people out there who are striving for greatness and goodness. And I promise you, if you take responsibility for yourself, if you build a good life and surround yourself with great people, that person will find you.
Fantastic video. This is all that's left here just for her outro. But yeah, that was great. Smashing that like button because that was fantastic to watch. Smash my like button and get subscribed. And I will see you later. Today's video, so the second one, is one that, well, I'll spoil it a little. JRig everything, my Pixel 10 Pro Fold exploded. But yeah, anyway, there's the spoiler.